In the slow, incandescent glow of the Etihad on a winter evening, Manchester City at this moment feels like a titan, both weathered and restless. A team whose offensive machinery still hums with the near-mechanical efficiency of elite habit, while the softer human problems of injuries, transition, and tactical fine-tuning keep the narrative painfully alive. The season has produced moments that are at once celebratory and worryingly revealing. A recent ripcord of attacking brilliance that produced a 5-4 thriller away at Fulham, a match that underlined both the dizzying potency of City's forward cohort and the nagging fragility at the back. A win that left fans elated and coaches scratching at defensive patterns for answers. The spine of the team remains obvious. Erling Haaland is the gravitational center of City's attack, the forward whose consistency and finishing keep title ambitions tangible, and who, this season, again features at the sharp end of the Premier League scoring charts, a barometer around which opponents calibrate their entire defensive weeks. Around him, Phil Foden has continued his evolution from mercurial wonderkin to fulcrum creator, a player whose movement, intelligent occupying of half spaces, and capacity to alternate between creator and finisher makes him indispensable. And the younger arrivals and academy graduates, from Rico Lewis to James McAtee, and the newly integrated faces, players signed or extended over the close season, have pushed the squad mix toward a more balanced blend of proven winners and hungry potential. Leadership remains an institutional thing at City. Ruben Diaz and John Stones anchor the defense not only with passes and tackles, but with the tone they set in training. The club's coaching structures and veteran figures shepherd the young, while Pep Guardiola, whose philosophy still imprints City's shape, positional rotation, inverted fullbacks, high possession and manic pressing in short bursts, demands constant adaptation so the side never becomes predictable. Tactically, the team still attempts the Guardiola blueprint, the possession dominance, the overloads, the clever verticality to free Haaland, but execution has been uneven. Attacking sequences are often dazzling, and the front line can punish any momentary lapse in opposition concentration. Yet, transitional defense and set-piece concentration have produced moments of acute danger that opponents have exploited, forcing the coaching staff to weigh short-term personnel fixes against long-term identity adherence. Squad depth is a story of luxury tinged with selective exposure. There are multiple attacking options in midfield inventors, but the defensive rotation options, when injuries and suspensions come, have been tested, and conversations about whether January should be used to plug specific gaps have resurfaced in the club's recruitment rooms as City's proximity to the top of the table sharpens appetite for reinforcement rather than mere roster maintenance. The transfer narrative this winter has therefore two layers. One, a pragmatic willingness among recruitment chiefs to consider targeted signings if City's title tilt remains real, and two, the longer arc of renewal that Manchester City pursues with an eye to keeping the squad world-class while accommodating contract cycles and the economics of elite football. Personnel changes during the off-season and into the new campaign have been noteworthy. The club has managed exits of long-standing figures and the integration of new prospects, changes that alter dressing room dynamics and restructure the experience gradient between veterans and prospects. And those shifts are visible in both match selection and the ebb and flow of results. Injuries and fitness rhythms are central to City's immediate fortunes. Like every top club, they have to negotiate muscular niggles, the odd long-term layoff, and the accumulated fatigue of players who are also national team fixtures. And those absences have amplified the need for dependable rotational players and tactical flexibility, especially in the fullback and holding midfield positions, where replacements must replicate balance and ball progression under pressure. In terms of competitions beyond the domestic league, City's Champions League campaign and other cup ties present the dual challenge of sustaining domestic momentum while managing European intensity. The fixture list through February and March shows tightly clustered marquee ties that will demand both strategic planning and squad cultivation to avoid late-season burnout and to remain credible on all fronts. The club's identity today reads like a palimpsest. The old Guardiola handwriting remains in the quick exchanges, positional discipline, and expectation of dominance. Yet, overlaying that is a pragmatic realism about recruitment, rotation, and the need to let younger players shoulder responsibility. The result is a team that still wants to play with the same philosophical clarity, but is learning to bend the template when circumstances, injuries, opponent variety, and fixture congestion demand it. Evaluating progression is therefore necessarily nuanced. On one axis, City is still extraordinarily well-resourced, coached, and stocked with high-end technical talent, meaning they remain favorites for domestic honors whenever form aligns. While on the other axis, the small, recurring cracks in defensive cohesion and the management of squad minutes reveal areas where competitors can seize advantage, and where short corrective measures, a January signing, altered pressing triggers, or clearer set-piece organization could materially shift outcomes. The balance between youth and experience is now more delicate than in previous title runs. Academy graduates are no longer merely peripheral projects, but are being integrated as solutions for rotation and future planning, while the experienced core provides the psychological ballast in tense matches. That interplay will define whether City's next phase is another incremental reassertion of dominance, or a season of transition with valuable lessons but fewer trophies. Looking at leadership and culture, the club's hierarchical mix, from captaincy-style leadership in defense and midfield to Guardiola and his senior coaches in the dugout, continues to stress standards. The expectation is excellence in training, accountability on the pitch, and an intolerance for passive defending, all pillars intended to keep the side competitive across all fronts. Yet, the human variables of form, fitness, and the occasional poor decision mean that weekly stories, some triumphant, some chastening, will still punctuate the season. The immediate tactical conversations revolve around a few repeatable themes: how to keep Haaland supplied without making the team one-dimensional, how to choreograph full-back involvement so overlaps cause danger without opening corridors for counterattacks, how to ensure the midfield press is re-engaged at speed after turnovers, and how personnel rotations can be used not just to rest players, but to preserve the tactical shape that distinguishes City from most opponents. Fans and pundits are attuned to every nuance. Trending conversations after high-scoring games separate praise for ruthless attacking entrepreneurship from criticism of defensive sloppiness. And social sentiment shifts rapidly depending on whether the team is winning eye-popping games or conceding avoidable goals. Those emotional cycles are part of the modern club experience, and they feed pressure back into boardroom planning and transfer calculus. As for the season's measurable prospects, If City can tighten their defensive transitions and maybe bring in a specialist to plug any obvious gaps in January while preserving attacking rhythm, they will remain among the leading title contenders. Conversely, if defensive frailties persist and fatigue accumulates across key players, challengers will exploit that margin, and with the schedule delivering high-stakes fixtures in the months to come, each result now acquires disproportionate importance. Looking ahead to marquee matches and the rhythm of the calendar, the next major fixtures include tightly contested Premier League dates and crucial Champions League group or knockout ties.